Good afternoon, everyone. It is David Schlotthauer here with another detailed tropical weather outlook and discussion for Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. Now, in this detailed tropical weather outlook and discussion on Invest 93L, I'm going to give you the very latest information as far as how much rainfall can you expect with 93L as it moves into Louisiana in the next 2 to 3 days. When will the rain start and how long will it last? And could we see tropical storm force winds associated with 93L? In this update, we will be breaking down all those details. Now, if you haven't been here before and you find these detailed tropical weather outlook and discussions very helpful, detailed, and informative, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell notification icon, hit the like button, and share this video with your family and friends on social media because guess what? If you do subscribe, you will get all of my notifications on this system and future tropical systems as well, including live streaming, live coverage on tropical systems like this within 24 to 36 hours before a landfall anywhere in the United States. So again, if you have not subscribed yet, now is the time to doing so to get all of my tropical updates on a daily basis. So with that being said, here's a look at the latest GOES 19 visible satellite imagery provided by Dr. Levi Cowan at tropicaltidbits.com. There will be a link in the description below this video. And as we take a look at the imagery very carefully here, first off, we have a lot of deep convection on the southwestern and southern sides of the circulation, which is literally dubbed right about in here. So that's where our circulation actually is, passing pretty much almost due over Jacksonville, Florida at the moment with all of these thunderstorms that are popping up to the south. The second thing that we're also seeing here is the asymmetry with the system. We're not seeing deep thunderstorm convection wrapping all the way around onto the upshear side of the system. Otherwise, we would see more explosive convection like we're seeing here, and it'd be over here on the northern side. And the reason why that is because number one, we have a lot of dry air on the northern side. And secondly, we have vertical wind shear coming in out of the northerly direction. And you can see that here by looking at the satellite imagery, these cloud debris streamers from any thunderstorms that do try to pop up in clouds give us an idea what the shear is doing. And right now, we have this northeasterly flow that is hitting the system here on the northeastern side. But because our system here is moving generally off towards the west, this equates to more of a northerly vertical wind shear of about 15 to 20 knots. Not super intensely strong, but strong enough to offset the low-level and mid-level vortex centers, and this is why we're not seeing any organization taking place. Despite the low-level center is quite organized at the moment, these vortexes are offset and misaligned and not vertically stacked for strengthening to commence. Even so, it is moving overland, which by the way, overland, it's not going to strengthen in the first place. So now the reason why we are seeing northeasterly and northerly vertical wind shear and upper level flow is because of the deep layer ridge that is positioned here over Georgia as well as Tennessee, including for the Carolinas. If you follow these clouds up here, you can see westerly flow up here. That's definitely seen. And then you can see background flow coming in out of this direction because we have a weak trough that is over the southeastern Bahamas. We have another trough over here over the western Gulf, and anything in between here with this ridge in place is it really amplifies the easterly flow that comes around this ridge. And where our system is it's on the bottom side of this ellipse type ridge that is over Tennessee. And as long as that remains, or this system remains dubbed underneath this ridge with easterly flow, the system is going to struggle for the foreseeable future as it makes its journey across the northern portion of the Gulf. Here's another visual representation here from Mark Nissenbaum at FSU Radar. And we can see there is Jacksonville right there. The center is not far to the south of Jacksonville, Florida right now. We have a lot of deep thunderstorms, so a lot of flooding, I'm sure, is occurring with these thunderstorms. Maybe even some brief water spouts and tornadoes, especially over any lake areas or over any water sources. But you can see here, the northern side is quite much devoided of any showers and thunderstorms, and only low-level showers do persist at this time, with the surface circulation here probably somewhere in this general area just to the west of St. Augustine, Florida. So with that in mind, here's a look at the latest 7-day graphical tropical weather outlook for Miami, Florida from the National Hurricane Center. And we can see there is a 40% chance of tropical development here as of 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Let's briefly read this because there's a lot of information that they are showing us here. So for Florida Peninsula into the northeastern Gulf, this is Invest 93L, of course. Satellite and radar data indicate that the low pressure area previously over the Atlantic is now moving onto the coast of northeastern Florida. The system is currently producing disorganized showers and thunderstorm activity, and little development is expected throughout tonight while the center is over land. Once the system reaches the northeastern Gulf on Wednesday, the environmental conditions appear generally favorable for additional development, and a tropical depression could form while this system moves across the northeastern and the north central Gulf and approaches the coast of Louisiana on Thursday. So they are saying here there is still a possibility that this does become a tropical depression. So with that in mind, here's a look at the latest European model. This is the 12Z output. This just came out on Tropical Tidbits. And what we're looking at here is a 3-plot system. The vorticity is your orange and red shading. This is where we have our low-level circulation. This might be a little bit underdone because of how defined the low actually is at the surface, and the low levels spinning about quite nicely. But this gives us an accurate representation on how this is all going to evolve over the next, say, 36 to 48 hours. And you can see it approaches the northeastern Gulf by the time we get into early tomorrow morning. And then it eventually gets towards Louisiana and Mississippi by the time we go into very early Thursday. So for your morning commute here on the 17th of July, this is where our circulation will likely be at this given time, with a little bit of a trough axis here also spreading into, say, Alabama. This is where we could have a lot of heavy rainfall and some flood concerns, but most of the heaviest rainfall will be concentrated around where this area of low pressure is. And then as we go into the latter part of Thursday, into Thursday afternoon and evening, this is going to eventually move into southern Louisiana. So Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Gonzales, Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana. If you're in, say, Cameron, Louisiana, this is for you. This is if you are also in central and southern Mississippi, this includes for your area as well. And again, for Thursday night, we're looking at the low pressure center right here. And this could be a tropical depression here with winds of about 35 to almost 40 miles an hour. And there is a non-zero chance, folks, that this still becomes Tropical Storm Dexter. That's if it has winds of 40 miles an hour, which is a still distinct possibility here. It is not likely, but it is also not very unlikely. So it's kind of in the middle here that we still get a named storm out of this just before landfall, similar to Chantel, where it got named literally at the last minute. So by Friday morning and Friday afternoon, the low is over here in Louisiana, and it's basically becoming a little more disheveled, and then it kind of dissipates by day 5. So now looking at the moisture bubble here, because this is going to relate to a lot of our rainfall concerns here in Louisiana, you definitely need to be watching this part of the video very closely, because we are looking at a potentially catastrophic flood event in Louisiana. And I don't like saying that very lightly, okay? I'm being quite serious about this. All right, so you can see deep layer moisture here. You can see lots of dry air here being punched in from the east due to the vertical wind shear that's hitting it still. But that does not mean that this will not become a tropical depression or storm at all. It's not going to become a hurricane, that's for sure. There's a 99.9% chance that's not going to happen. Instead, we're just going to look at a strong weather disturbance here on the order of a tropical depression or a very, very low-end storm with a lot of moisture. And all that teal green color indicates just how much moisture there will be. So that's the Euro on the deep layer moisture plot. Let's take a look now at the Canadian model, because again, everyone absolutely enjoyed and absolutely endured when I showed all of the global computer models. Okay, and I do appreciate all of your guys' support on that from yesterday's video and even my last couple of videos. So the Canadian model shows something pretty similar, probably a little bit more realistic here based on the spin, the rotation that we're seeing here. And you can see the strongest rotation is moving off the Big Bend of Florida by late tonight and early tomorrow morning. And what does this do? It does try to regroup itself briefly before it makes landfall in around New Orleans, Louisiana, Gonzales, as well as Baton Rouge, Louisiana by Thursday early afternoon. And then moving forward, it remains quite intact here. Maybe a minor brown ocean effect because we have so much moisture, so much heat coming off the Gulf here that this could be fed a little longer, even so this makes its way onshore of Louisiana. And then it starts to get ripped into pieces due to the shear, drier air, and land interaction by the time we go into the weekend. So now, last but not least, our icon model. And this go around, the icon model has finally fixed itself after it being the most aggressive out of any global model out there thus far. So putting this into motion here, you can see there is our circulation. And yeah, definitely a lot different than what we were dealing with yesterday morning, where this was a lot more coherent and stronger. In today's model run output on the 18Z, which is just got done rendering, you can see it's a lot weaker, but still in all, we're looking at a well-defined circulation here on the icon model with winds of at least 20 to 25 miles an hour, which would make this a very weak tropical depression if it has enough organization with thunderstorms and enough rainfall with it. So keep in mind that it's really not going to be the wind aspect to all of this, folks, okay? And that's why we are going to take you forward here and look at the WPC, the Weather Prediction Center rainfall forecast, because this is very concerning. And I want to make it absolutely clear in this video. We are not looking at a tropical storm very likely here, okay? There's a slight possibility that it becomes a tropical storm. Mainly a tropical depression at the very most is what we're looking at this given time. We're not even looking at a hurricane. What I'm trying to say here is you don't need a very strong tropical weather system to cause the biggest impacts. All you actually need here is a lot of rainfall, a lot of precipitable water amounts in the atmosphere, and a lot of latent heat release coming off the Gulf to feed this system. And the ending result here is going to be a lot of water that's going to accumulate here in around Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama as well. And you can see how much rainfall you're expecting here. So for the northern half of Louisiana, you're looking at anywhere between 1 to 3 inches of rainfall. If you're in the southern half of Louisiana, you're looking at, on this map particularly from the Weather Prediction Center, in fact, if that's not enough, we're actually going to zoom in a little closer so you all can actually see this. Yeah, some areas down here, you might see as much as about 4 to even 6 inches. Yeah, there is 6 inches right here. There's even 7 inches right along the Louisiana coast here. If you're in New Orleans, you're looking at about 3 to 5 inches of rainfall in a rough range of estimates. And then, of course, down here in Mobile, Alabama, I know it's on the very edge of the screen here, you're looking at anywhere between about 3 to 4 inches of rainfall. This is certainly going to add the risk for significant to potentially catastrophic flooding, and I don't say that very lightly, including for far eastern Texas, you're looking at up to maybe 2 to even 3 inches of rainfall. So I know a lot of people like watching my videos because, of course, I talk about the tropics, but a lot of people like to click on this video because, oh, we have a hurricane, let's watch David's stream. This is the point that I'm not hyping up stuff very much, and regardless of if this becomes a tropical depression or storm, there is going to be serious impacts with this by all means. And if that wasn't enough, let's take a look now at our Weather Prediction Center rainfall forecast here. Okay, this is a new addition to the video that I wanted to show you all. So, of course, for day one today, this is for Tampa, Florida, St. Petersburg. If you're in Lakeland, If you're in Orlando, if you are in Titusville, that is, Port Orange, Daytona Beach, I'm including you, Palm Bay, Milburn, there is a slight risk for heavy rainfall and flooding for those areas. All right, for day 2, still in Florida, but then moves into Baton Rouge, Louisiana, New Orleans. If you're in Mobile, Alabama, Pensacola, Tennessee, Tallahassee, excuse me there, Gulfport, Biloxi, Pensacola, Panama City, Florida, you're under the threat there for some heavy rainfall and a marginal risk for flooding. But it's really going to be day 3 and day 4. We really need to pay close attention because that's when the system moves into New Orleans, Baton Rouge, where there's a slight risk for heavy rainfall. All right. And that means there's a 15% risk for major flooding on rivers. Some of the creeks and streams will likely potentially flood over, as well as street flooding, urban flooding as well. That's going to be the concern here for both day 3 and day 4, especially day 4 looks really, really concerning here. And you can see that here. There is a 40% chance of major river, urban, small stream flooding, street flooding in around Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Lafayette, Louisiana, Lake Charles, Louisiana. Did I say Cameron? If I did, Cameron is down here under that moderate risk for flooding as well. And then, of course, if you're in Houston, there's a marginal risk for flooding. So yeah, this is going to cover a pretty big populated area all the way from Mobile, Alabama, perhaps Jackson, Mississippi, all the way into, say, central Louisiana, southern Mississippi as well. Okay, and it's not only that. Day 5, there is a slight risk for heavy rainfall. So don't be surprised if they do sneak in a moderate risk somewhere in this area for heavy rainfall again for the day 5 outlook in future updates. Okay, so the risk for rainfall here, folks, I'm really emphasizing that in this video, is going to be a very big problem. And I would not be surprised if we see a lot of reports coming in on X, also from different YouTube channels. Search and rescue missions are going to be pretty explosive in this area due to the fact that we have a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time. It's not about the wind. It is not about the storm surge. It's all about the flooding. Flooding is an impact with these systems, okay? People think that, oh, it's the wind. It's all about the wind. It's all about the storm surge. It's all about la. No, this is all about freshwater flooding from a system that's not even going to be a hurricane in the first place. All right, we'll skip on by with that for today's video. Let's take a look now at with what we're dealing with here on our spaghetti plot. And let me zoom in on this because while right now, okay, we need to update this. There we go. That's a little bit better. There is a non-zero chance that this still becomes a tropical storm, but the majority of our guidance right now keeps us under tropical storm territory. But for the sake of this, for today's titling and thumbnail, will this become Tropical Storm Dexter? And the answer to that is there is a slim possibility. There's like a 10% chance that this even becomes named. And if it does, again, it would be Dexter on our list of named storms and would be the 4th named storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. But right now, my intensity forecast is a little on the higher end side, but does not explicitly show this becoming a tropical storm and shows rather quick weakening by the time we go into day 5, right before landfall or right up on landfall, perhaps in Louisiana. Now, looking at the ensemble guidance from the GEFS, you can see it here clearly showing our spaghetti plot that the system is already over here, by the way, and it is likely to move generally westward right towards Louisiana and parallel the Gulf Coast here of Florida. Now, of course, depending on how far off this is away from land will depend on will this be able to organize further. And right now, even if it was a little further offshore, this would not have much time to organize because of the deep layer vertical wind shear. Some drier air entrainment on the northern side of the system will at least cap this from intensifying, unlike Milton, which took full advantage of. Our hurricane models are pretty similar here. Here is a look at it, and let me update this as well. And we can see the majority of the models keep this over land right now, so it doesn't look like it's going to be emerging back out into the Gulf at the given time. This could jump, though, and surprise us. Still can bring us a little bit of surprises. And then, of course, moving into Louisiana, where it might have a brief window here for maybe some redevelopment. But again, that is if it stays offshore long enough and, and the waters are warm enough, of course, which they are. All right. Our next thing that I wanted to show you here is the European ensemble forecast. Another spaghetti plot that I wanted to introduce here is this has even come down a little bit. Now, last night, 0Z forecast, I was going to make a video very early this morning, but the confidence with that was just too low to warrant that for right now. And so I waited for this afternoon to see what this showed. And the good thing is I didn't make a video this morning because this downtrended a little bit, with the majority of the guidance now only indicating a low-end tropical depression with winds of about 30 to 35 miles an hour on approach to Louisiana and Mississippi. But again, I cannot emphasize this enough. Regardless of how strong 93L becomes in the Gulf, there is going to be a tremendous amount of rainfall and flooding, and possibly some minor wind damage, waterspouts, and tornadoes along to go with that. Yeah, tornadoes, waterspouts are an impact from if it's not even tropical storm or if it's not even a hurricane. Yeah, we can still get devastating impacts. Look at Kerrville, the historic flood event in Kerrville nearly about a week and a half ago. That was not even from a tropical storm, for Pete's sakes. That was all from a group and cluster of thunderstorms that wreaked havoc in that area. It goes to show you that you don't need a tropical storm or a hurricane to cause the worst impacts possible. All you need is enough moisture available with these type of systems, and that moisture being dragged onshore, and then voila, you get problems that emerge very quickly. And so looking at our sea surface temperatures here, very warm Gulf waters here, especially in the northeastern half. The north central water temperatures here are in the uppermost 80s, close to 90 degrees. So that is a very big concern. I'm more concerned about the system picking up a lot more moisture than it actually strengthening in the northern Gulf, because as you know, warm air holds more moisture, and that means what? Means more rainfall potential and significant flood potential here in the southern half of Louisiana, Mississippi, as well as portions of Alabama. And that's what we really need to be aware of in this video. It's not about the wind, the storm surge, and those type of impacts. That's not really the big part of this. It's going to be the flooding. I've said it too many times in this video. So you can see the northern, central, northeastern Gulf water temperatures are well above average for this time of the year. So that isn't a problem for this system at all. And it's really the upper level environment that is not super conducive for strengthening at this present time. There will be some modest strengthening, but I don't think we're going to see a tropical storm. And if we do, there's like a 10 to 15, even 20% chance of that even occurring in the next 5 days. Now, with that being said, I sure hope you found this video very detailed, helpful, informative, and life-saving. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, folks. You guys are very, very awesome. I'm literally less than 4,000 subscribers away from 50,000. I cannot even believe on how big or how explosive the growth has been here on the YouTube channel as of late, since Saturday when I began this huge growth spurt. So again, if you have not subscribed yet, because we might be going live on this if it's needed, probably will, because we have a big flood threat that I do want to address. So we'll probably be going live here for about 12 to 24 hours up until landfall, and just after landfall, of course, because the heavy rainfall will be a big problem in Louisiana. So if you have not subscribed yet, this is the time to doing so. Ring the bell icon to get latest updates here on the tropics, not just on this system, but future updates down the road as well as we make our journey throughout the Atlantic hurricane season of 2025. But otherwise, thank you all for watching today's update, and I might have a urgent update tomorrow morning if necessary, like I was planning to do this morning, but we'll see. That might get canceled and may just do a video tomorrow afternoon. Thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your Tuesday on the 15th of July.